Govind ki jai, Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gaura. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiraye nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 1, Text number 5. Akutyam devahutyam cha दुहित्रोस्त्य वै मनोः धर्मज्ञानोपदेशार्थं भगवान् पुत्रतां गतः आकुत्यां देवहूत्यां च दुहित्रोस्तस्य वै मनोः धर्मज्ञानोपदेशार्थं भगवान् पुत्रतां गतः आकुत्यां देवहूत्यां च दुहित्रोस्तस्य वै मनोः धर्मज्ञानोपदेशार्थं भगवान् पुत्रतां गतः। आकुत्यां देवहूत्यां च दुहित्रोस्तस्य वै मनोः धर्मज्ञानोपदेशार्थं भगवान् पुत्रतां गतः। आकुत्यां देवहूत्यां च दुहित्रोस्तस्य वै मनोः Ladies, please. आकुत्यां देवहूत्यां च Akutyam, from the womb of Akuti, Devahutyam cha, and from the womb of Devahuti, Duhitroho, of the two daughters, Tasya, of him, why, indeed, Manoho, of Swayambhuva Manu, Dharma, religion, Jnana, and knowledge. Upadesha Artham, for instructing. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Putratam, sonhood under Akuti and Devahuti. Gataha, accepted. Translation and purports by Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. I'm going to read from 4, so there's continuity. 4 does not have a purport, and 5 has one sentence, so we'll see. I'll do 6 as well. Shukadev Goswami said, in the present Kalpa, there have already been 6 Manus. I have described to you Swayambhuva Manu and the appearance of many demigods. In this Kalpa of Brahma, Swayambhuva Manu is the first Manu. Text 5. Swayambhuva Manu has 2 daughters, named Akuti and Devahuti. From their wombs, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared as 2 sons named Yagyamurti and Kapila, respectively. These sons were entrusted with preaching about religion and knowledge. Purport. Devahuti's son was known as Kapila, and Akuti's son was known as Yagyamurti. Both of them taught about religion and philosophical knowledge. Text 6. O best of the Kurus, I have already described in the 3rd canto the activities of Kapila, the son of Devahuti. Now I shall describe the activities of Yagyapati, the son of Akuti. Text 7. Swayambhuva Manu, the husband of Shatarupa, was by nature not at all attached to enjoyment of the senses. Thus he gave up his kingdom of sense enjoyment and entered the forest with his wife to practice austerities. Purport. As stated in Bhagavad Gita chapter 4 text 2, Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu. The supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood in that way. All the Manus were perfect kings. They were Rajarishis. In other words, although they held posts as kings of the world, they were as good as great saints. Swayambhuva Manu, for example, was the emperor of the world, yet he had no desire for sense gratification. This is the meaning of monarchy. The king of the country or the emperor of the empire must be so trained that by nature he renounces sense gratification. It is not that because one becomes king, he should unnecessarily spend money for sense gratification. As soon as kings become degraded, spending money for sense gratification, they were lost. Similarly, at the present moment, monarchy having been lost, the people have created democracy, which is also failing. Now, by the laws of nature, the time is coming when dictatorship will put the citizens into more and more difficulty. If the king or dictator individually or the members of the government collectively cannot maintain the state or kingdom according to the rules of Manu Samhita, certainly their government will not endure. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So before I guess begin or share, I see some new folks here. So first of all, I want to welcome you guys. And just for our edification, could you tell us your name so that I know who I'm speaking to? Yes, Matt, we know you. from India, no? Utkarsh, okay, from? Okay, you're with Mullah Bhai. Alex, and where are you visiting us from? Okay, yeah, thank you. How about yourself? Arvind, and you're local to Chicago? Okay, thank you for coming. Um, we just finished what's called Canto 7 in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which has 12 cantos, and we've begun, it's the first chapter of 8th canto. Um, and the question is raised by Parikshit Maharaj, who's the person uh, cursed to die in 7 days. And he's been hearing for about 3 days, I guess, non-stop, 3 or 4 days, the different activities of Krishna, specifically as the creator and the maintainer of the entire cosmos. His unique identity as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his intimate interactions with his devotees is yet to come. Is yet to come. When we speak of a person, we're talking about someone. Let's say two people are talking about a third person, a very, I guess, famous person, or someone we want the second person to know. The first thing we don't say, oh, they play with their friends like this and they sit in a particular place every week and have a drink or whatever. The first thing we talk about is maybe, oh, their education, whatever qualification, what they do at work, what they have accomplished, and slowly, the more intimate details are provided. The first thing we don't tell them, oh, he found his childhood sweetheart in school and that's who he married. This is a little, it doesn't say much or it gives a really weird context. So here Shukadev Goswami is narrating to Parikshit Maharaj or bringing him progressively towards hearing the very intimate exchanges that Krishna has. Because it's a little difficult to fathom that God can have very intimate relationships in friendship, in parental relationship, etc. There are five. One is called Shanta, or relationship in neutrality or appreciation from afar. Then there is Dasya, relationship in servitude. Then there is Sakhya, relationship in friendship. Vatsalya, relationship as in parenthood. And Madhurya, or relationship in conjugal exchanges. It's a little difficult to fathom. So there's I guess, a short story. A man went to meet a king. So it's not just you walk in and you meet the king. You have to wait because the king is busy with things. So they told him, "Yeah, please sit here. The king is busy. He'll come and meet you." So the man was waiting and waiting. The king didn't come. So he asked someone, "How long will it take?" "He's very busy right now." "Oh, okay." He waited and waited. And some more time later, "Can I meet the king now? He's very busy. He'll come. He's very busy right now. He's attending to something very important. He'll come." Okay. He was just waiting. No one was around. So just as the human curiosity, he said, "Can I peep through the keyhole to see what is the king doing? What is it so important?" So he crawled to the keyhole and peeped through the keyhole. And he saw the king down on his forest, with his grandson on his back. And the king was being a horsey. And the grandson was slapping him on his back, saying, "Horsey, go fast." And this guy was totally bewildered. What? He said he's attending to something very important. Look at what he's doing. It was unbelievable for him that a king, in front of whom everyone bows down, he himself was a horsey for his grandson. So Krishna, although he is the supreme personality of Godhead, all great sages, demigods, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, the greatest progenitors in the universe, they bow down. Krishna is happy to play horsey with his friends. But to know that and appreciate that, it takes a little introduction. So the first 9 cantos, in that sense, are introduction to the different facets of Krishna's personality. And how Krishna, as the protector, maintainer of his devotees and the entire creation, appears in different situations. So we get a well-rounded appreciation for, wow, this is the person that we are trying to worship and get to know. Those who don't have that introduction oftentimes uh, understand Krishna in a very one-dimensional way, especially people coming from India without proper understanding. Krishna is one of those who stole butter, played with the girls, played on his flute, incited a war. It's okay. Some people like, some people don't like. Without knowing the person properly, we get a very incomplete picture of their personality. So Vyasadeva has taken the time to go through 9 cantos to help us. So when we actually come to the 10th canto, it's coming up for us in the next year or so, an appreciation for, wow, this is the person. So in this particular canto has one of the most famous pastimes, the churning of the milk ocean. It is such a fascinating pastime, I can't tell you. Because in this one pastime, for this one thing, the Lord appears at least 5, 6 times in different forms. And he helps both the demons and the demigods. He helping the demigods is understandable, but he is helping the demons as well. And that's a little, huh? Really? And they take up a project of churning the milk ocean. It's described that the milk ocean is such that it has no waves on it. It's very placid. You never see an ocean that is placid. It's the ocean on which Vishnu resides. And he brings the demigods and the demons together to churn that ocean for something they call the nectar. So it's a very fascinating, it has wonderful details. As we go through it, I'm sure it's a fantastic narration. So to begin the narration, Parikshit Maharaj asks a question. Can I know? Here it is. We are very eager to hear about these narrations, and these are describe the activities and appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead during the various manvantaras. So we heard the other day that a day of Brahma, just as our day is broken into certain what we call day parts. Roughly we call it morning, afternoon, evening, at night. That's about roughly how we do it. Brahma's day is broken into 14 day parts. Actually, our day is also broken. We don't, in America, or colloquially, we don't use terminology like that. But in India, a day is generally calculated into or broken into 8 day parts. And each day part is called Yama. So we hear in Bhagavad Gita when Krishna describes foods in the mode of ignorance, he says, Yata Yama. That food that has been cooked 3 hours before is in the and one consumes it, it's mode of ignorance. Then what to speak of what's canned, frozen, etc. So Yama is a 3 hour period, so there are 8 such periods. So Brahma's day, because Lord Brahma is the first person in the universe and the chief engineer, he has to make sure that the universe is operating on a daily basis. It's going on properly. So he has shifts. We have also shifts at our jobs or work. The first shift, second shift, etc. So he has 14 shifts to manage the universe. And in each shift, there's a supervisor. That supervisor is called Manu. He makes sure that he has his team on board. And yesterday, Radharaman Prabhu gave us some calculations that each shift lasts 305, 306 million years plus, not 8 hour shifts. And they don't get paid by the hour, thankfully. Imagine Manu being paid by the hour. 300 so I calculated 306 million years today. Can I get paid for it? So 306 million years is the reign of one Manu, and his entire team comes in to manage the universe during that time. New demigods come in, new sages occupy the posts of the seven, what we call Saptarishi, the seven great sages. New persons become what are called Upadevatas, the subordinate demigods, etc. And then there are certain persons who are called progenitors, Prajapatis, and their whole service is please have more babies and have babies across different species and populate the universe. Oh, yes. And this happens. After this Manu leaves, another Manu comes, a new shift, and the whole team changes. One who occupies the post as Indra, he goes, another person becomes Indra, someone else becomes Manu, someone else takes the position of managing the moon, someone else takes the position of managing the sun, someone else takes managing this planet, that planet. The whole cabinet changes. Now it's not an easy task. It needs the help and intervention of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's also there. He's not one of those managers that is absent. He's there too. And when necessary, he intervenes. Just as we see in a situation, Brother Prabhu was dealing with customer service yesterday. I won't tell you which customer service, but he was dealing with customer service. And you know, when the first level of customer service doesn't work for you, you can always say, can I speak with your supervisor? Can I speak with your supervisor? That means when this level cannot solve the problem, it has to be escalated to the next level, the supervisor. And mostly the supervisor says the same thing that this guy said, except they say it in a nicer way and you feel, oh, they've heard what I'm saying. But if that doesn't work, then you can escalate it further. There are situations where people write the letter to the CEO. So like this, if then there is some discrepancy, something that's not working in the universe, some demon just showed up and messed around and changed the orbit of some planet like Hiranyaksha did, or something is not working in the universe, then the Lord intervenes during the time of each Manu. And Parikshit Maharaj is interested to know what are the different ways and what are the different forms in which the Lord intervenes. I want to know that. because it's part of appreciating the multifaceted personality of the Lord that he is hearing about. Actually, we want to hear every little thing that the person that we idolize, we want to know what they have done and said. So he's about to start a new situation, and he's describing that after the first shift, Swayambhuva Manu, came the second shift. I'm using the word shift, but you get there. And then, so there are 14 such shifts. Right now, we're told yesterday by Radharaman Prabhu that we are going through the seventh shift. This is one day of Brahma. So it's about noon time for Lord Brahma. It's the seventh shift out of 14, right? And this Manu is called Vaivasvata because he's the son of the sun. Vivaswan is the name of the personality who's the king of the sun planet. And his son is Vaivasvata Manu. And this pastime is now for the previous Manu. So he's setting the stage for it. He said that Swayambhuva Manu, the original first one, sometimes we pronounce it as Swayambhuva. Actually, it is Swayambhuva. Swayambhuva means one who is born from Swayambhuva. Lord Brahma is called Swayambhuva because he doesn't have a mom and dad. He appeared straight from Lord Vishnu. And so his son is called Swayambhuva. Just as we have Dasharath, the king from whom Lord Ram, I guess we say born or appeared, and so Lord Ram is called Dasarathi. So Swayambhuva Manu had two daughters, Akuti and Devahuti. And Akuti had one son by the name Yagya Murti or Yagya, and Devahuti had a son called Kapila. Now both came for teaching Krishna consciousness through philosophy. They came to teach Krishna consciousness for that particular age. And in the third canto, Shukadeva Goswami is saying, I spoke to you about Lord Kapila and Devahuti. And now he's going to talk about the other son of, other grandson of Swayambhuva Manu. And that is Yagya. Now, why Yagya appeared, what did he do, is the next set of verses and chapters. So then, he says, Krita Pura Bhagavata. I've already spoken about this, he says. And then he says, Viraktah Kama Bhogeshu. This is about, now he's talking about Swayambhuva Manu, who retired from his shift, I guess, and allowed for the next one to come. So it's described how he left the post. It says, Viraktah Kama Bhogeshu. Kama means desire, desire for sense gratification. And bhoga is the actual gratification of the senses. It says viraktah. He was completely, I guess, detested or what's the right word? Unattached. He was unattached to any sense gratification. Not only was he unattached to gratification, he didn't even have the desire for it. So he says, Viraktah Kama Bhogeshu Shaturupa Pati. The husband of Shatarupa, which is Swayambhuva Manu, Visrujya Rajyam Tapase. Visrujya Rajyam. He left his kingdom and Tapase went into meditation, went into the forest. Sabharyo Vanam Avishat. Sabharya. In Sanskrit, when you have sa in front of any word, it means with, or along with. Sabharya means along with his wife, Vanam, he went into the forest. Avishet, he entered the forest. So he retired to the forest along with his wife to perform tapasya, austerity, meditation, and take his hands off the management. Unlike the person who's remained there 90 years old, 100 years old, still worried, "Oh, we should do like this and we should do like that." He did what he had to do and he walked away. So I'll tell you a story. It's the day after festival, late night. It's a little difficult, right? I'll tell you a story about a retired couple. So there was a man who worked for many years and then he retired at the age of 60. And his wife told him, we should, uh, we should get some special blessings from the great personalities. And they considered who they should pray to. And they went through the whole list of demigods. They said Vishnu is very difficult. He asks us to perform bhakti, makes us, control our senses in a particular way. And they went through that and said, "Oh Lord Shiva, let's pray to Lord Shiva because he's called Ashutosh. He becomes happy very quickly, so he will give us blessings very quickly." So all right, all right. And so they prayed to Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva appeared and he said, "Yes, what can I do for you?" He asked the wife first, what would you like? And she said, "Oh Lord Shiva, my husband all these years worked a very simple job, earned honest income. It was not much, but it was honest income. And so I would like to travel with him to all the holy places. Because we cannot afford two tickets, please bless us that somehow we buy one ticket and we get one free. Yeah, buy one, get one free." Lord Shiva said, "So be it. You can travel for half the price with your husband." "Oh, thank you." Her husband was sitting right next to her. So Lord Shiva asked him, "What would you like?" Same thing. He said to Lord Shiva, "Can you come to the side? I want to tell you something." So when you say come to the side, there is something else going on. So Lord Shiva said, "Yeah, what would you like?" He said, "I've been married to this woman for quite a while. It was nice. I would like to travel all the holy places with someone who's 30 years younger than I am. I'd like a woman who's 30 years younger than I am. That would be nice. Can you please make that happen?" And Lord Shiva said, "So be it." And in a moment, this guy became 90 years old. So our desires are very interesting. This guy wanted a 30-year-old, he became 90-year-old. And still his desire was fulfilled by Lord Shiva that he could travel with her. But it's not like Manu. Manu went into the forest. And Prabhupada writes, all Manus were perfect kings. So there was no shortage in what he was doing. There was nothing left undone. Whatever he did was perfect. Now, perfect is not just that he was a perfect administrator. He was. But perfect was that he was a devotee. He was a very, very accomplished devotee. So he's called Raja Rishi. Sometimes this word is like an oxymoron. If you're a rishi, if you're a sage or a saint, what are you doing with administration? And if you're an administrator, what's saintliness got to do with it? That's the normal way of thinking. But these great personalities, who are administrators of the world and the universe, they were saintly in their character. So, saintly is not just that they were moral or they were very ethical, but actually they were very spiritual. And it is these spiritual personalities, they were all devotees of Krishna, that's what it means. They ruled on behalf of Krishna. And this is what made them saintly, is that they never thought that the kingdom is theirs. They always knew that the kingdom is Krishna's and they were only instruments doing service on behalf of Krishna. So each of us may have certain kingdom, small. Actually, our kingdoms are usually small, smaller, and extra small. And some people have kingdoms that are medium, large, extra large, huge, massive. Here in this case, the whole world and universe to manage. Regardless, it's important to understand that everything belongs to Krishna and we're just taking care of those things on behalf of Krishna. And that's what makes that person saintly. So here Prabhupada writes, uh, this is the meaning of monarchy. The monarchy was the emperor of the world had no desire for sense gratification. Although he was the king and he was sitting on a royal throne, had many attendants fanning him, following him, bowing down to him, etc. He never had the desire for sense gratification, thinking, I am the king. I am meant to enjoy these things. As long as they lasted, they lasted. And when it was time to move on, it did not matter to him. He walked away. So that's one of the, I guess, symptoms of an unattached person is you can walk away from all the opulences without feeling bad. Oh, am I going to miss this? Whatever the situation, they used it for Krishna's service. When the opulence was there, fantastic. They used it for Krishna's service. And when the time was there for no more opulence, they were fine. They served Krishna differently. And he said that the king means he should not unnecessarily spend money for sense gratification. Because sense gratification and Krishna consciousness go ill together. So I'll tell you one story, and then I'll, I guess, open for comments and questions. In the Sri Vaishnava tradition, when, thank you, before Yamunacharya, there was a king. Before Yamunacharya, who's the famous Sri Vaishnava who revived the entire Sri Vaishnava line in South India. As a young boy, his name was Yamuna, and he was extremely intelligent. Extremely intelligent. And there's a very famous pastime of how he defeated a scholar, a very arrogant scholar. I don't have the time to narrate the entire story, but it's a very fascinating debate that they had. Anyway, and part of the wager for that debate was that if Yamuna wins the debate, he gets half the kingdom. He's a 12-year-old boy. And he defeated that scholar called Kolahala. And so he became king at a very young age. So naturally, young, immature, not very trained, very confident of his skill, etc. What happened is over the years, Yamuna forgot everything to do with Krishna consciousness and was simply wallowing in the riches, in the spoils of being a king. So his grandfather, Natha Muni, who knew that Yamuna has great potential in being a fantastic devotee of Krishna, but was wasting that opportunity in very paltry sense gratification. He had somehow to, I guess, revive his grandson. And Nathamuni was very old. So he devised a plan and called one Vaishnava Brahmin by the name Rama Mishra and told him, you have the responsibility, the project to to bring Yamuna back as a devotee. He's just out there. I need him to come back, do something. Now, Rama Mishra is an unknown, is a nobody. Now, how does a nobody meet the king? It's not easy. So Rama Mishra said, okay, what do I do? He thought about it. He went to the kingdom, and there was no way that he could meet the king. So he went somehow and made friendship with the royal cook, royal chef. And he gave him a particular type of spinach. And he said that this spinach is very special, and I know the king would love it. So please cook for him, and cook it in this way, prepare it in this way. And so he gave him the recipe and all. And the cook was like, oh, okay, I've never done this. It'll be a new entree on the king's Rajbhog plate. I will offer it to him. So when he offered it, the king loved it. And Rama Mishra said to the cook, I will bring this spinach type leafy vegetable for you every day. So don't worry, I'll supply it for you. You just keep cooking it for the king. It's all right. So every day Rama Mishra brought that spinach, and every day the cook made it, and the king would relish it. He would actually now start looking forward to that dish on his lunch plate. So for one whole year, Rama Mishra supplied the spinach, and the cook made it, and the king ate it. Imagine the king, like, if you know anything about kings and sense gratification, is that they don't necessarily like the same thing again and again. They want variety. And they want variety at will. If they say, oh, I want samosas today, then the whole kitchen has to run to make samosas for the king. That's why he's a king. If any one of us says, I want samosas today, we're told, shut up and eat rice, dal and mung dal, rice and mung dal. That's all you get. So he was liking it every day, which was very unique. The cook was like, oh, the king will be very pleased with me. So after 1 year, Rama Mishra one day did not bring the spinach. So the cook said, oh, he didn't bring, went on, made his lunch for the king. A beautiful plate full of rich preparations, paneer with cashews and all that came. And the king said, where's the spinach? Where's that spinach dish? So they ran to call the royal cook. Where's the spinach? He was called. The king summoned him and said, where's the spinach today? He said, oh, I didn't get a supply. Who was supplying this to you? Oh, one particular Brahmin was supplying to me every day. So the message was, go search for this Brahmin and bring him here. And suddenly Rama Mishra had audience of the king. Because had he tried on his own, there was no way he could cut through the entire red tape, the bureaucracy to meet the king. But this way the king summoned him. I want to meet this man who brought me this spinach every day. And when he was summoned in front of the king, Rama Mishra said, my dear sir, not only do I bring spinach, but I understand that your grandfather has left a great treasure for you. And he's wanting that you take that treasure. Now for a king, treasure means very interesting because he always wants his treasury full. Oh, treasure? Where is the treasure? Let's go. Please, let's go. So Rama Mishra led the way. Yamuna, as the king, followed him with, all the royal diggers, I guess, to dig and find where the treasure is. So from wherever Yamuna was, Rama Mishra took him to a place called Sri Rangam. And they said, now the treasure is on an island. It's like a treasure hunt story. The treasure is on an island. Okay? So they crossed the mainland on boats and went to the island. And he said, on the island, this particular place has 7 walls and is inside the 7 walls, 7 layers of walls. Oh, what is it? Let's go. And so they went one wall after another, 7 gates actually. and finally came and entered the temple of Ranganath, this deity of Lord Vishnu in Sri Rangam is called Ranganath. And he told him, now beyond the 7 gates, the treasure is there. So when they opened the altar doors, they saw the form of Lord Vishnu lying down. It's a very beautiful deity. And he said, look at those eyes and the form of Lord Ranganath. This is the treasure your grandfather has left for you. And for Yamuna, it was an immediate, oh, what have I done? All these years, I forgot Krishna, I forgot devotional service, I forgot what lies ahead of me in terms of what I need to accomplish for the great acharyas. And at that very moment, he renounced himself as the king. He said, I have no more kingdom, no more all this. And I will actually become or take on devotional service, and went on to becoming Yamunacharya. And that was saintly. Of course, he had forgotten, but that little memory helped him back. So Raja Rishi is those great kings who are devotees, and they're not attached to sense gratification. They're attached to service. And Swayambhuva Manu finished his service and went into the forest. That's where we are. Any questions, comments? You don't have to feel compelled to ask. That's all right. Not having a question is perfectly all right. It's easier on me. Any comments? Bhima Prabhu, would you like to say anything?
If you're a brahmachari or a sannyasi, you wouldn't manage anything per se, but it should be a householder who manages things. Now, obviously, the king's a householder, but he's also a rishi, very elevated devotee. But yet, at the same time, he's managing so many things. So can we say that it really doesn't matter what ashram you're in? You can, if you accept management as a service that you're doing, you're not attached, you're just doing it as a service, then it doesn't matter what ashram you're in. Could we say that?
We could say it in our context as, I guess, the Hare Krishna movement and serving Krishna in different capacities, serving Prabhupada in different capacities. But generally speaking, Varna and ashram go together. So one's occupation is according to one's ashram. But I'm not the expert on this topic, but my understanding is what we say Daivi Varnashram is, although those lines may not be necessarily very clear, for the sake of service, one may take on a Varna or an occupation which is quite distinct or different from their ashram. It's possible. At least in the Bhagavatam, we don't find such, I don't want to say mixing, but we don't find such transition. Well, there is transition, but the ashram goes along with the Varna. I'm particularly thinking of Priyavrata. So Priyavrata Maharaj is a renounced brahmachari who was in the mountains meditating. And he was asked after King Uttama, not Uttama, Uttanapada, thank you. After King Uttanapada left, there was the need for a king. And Lord Brahma, Swayambhuva Manu, they all urged Priyavrata to come back. But he changed his ashram. Because that is one of the things about ruling is that they need the next generation. So naturally, as a sannyasi or a brahmachari, he cannot have progeny. So he needs to be in this ashram. as a ruler or administrator. So generally speaking, they go together. But in our context, we see Prabhupada engaging different persons, uh, different from their ashram in Varnas. So in that sense, yes, it happens and has happened, but continues to happen. Which one? All right. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai.